Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar for Merit Badge Challenge 2016. My name is Cassie Anderson, and I am the Council Chair. I am joined tonight by Ken Bruner, Staff Advisor, Mike Banish, Grant Career Center Site Coordinator, Joe Kim, Fairfield Site Coordinator, and Chuck Salzman, Sycamore Counselor Coordinator. I would like to start by saying our purpose tonight is to review the resources that we have to help with any questions you have about Merit Badge Challenge and help with any questions you may have while you are preparing for registration. The goal of Merit Badge Challenge is to provide an opportunity for youth to earn multiple merit badges. We do this by bringing together scouts and counselors in 4 different locations in the Cincinnati area. At the top and bottom of the webpage, www.danbaird.org/NBC is an attachment that has a booklet of insightful information for you as you go through this process. At this time, I would like to introduce Ken Bruner, who is going to touch on the registration process.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ken Bruner. I'm a staff advisor here for Merit Badge Challenge, and really excited to have you guys join us tonight. Before we jump too far in, do just want to make sure that everybody can hear us properly and point out just a couple of things. Do want to note that there is an area at the bottom left of your screen in which you can type a message and share a chat in order to ask questions throughout the webinar. Or if you're having any technical difficulties, you can type a message there in order to let us know. We do have everyone's line muted at this point as we present and prepare to share the information with you, but feel free to type messages there and we will respond as we are able. The first thing I'd like to just point out to everybody and make them aware of is that our registration opens for Merit Badge Challenge on October 15th. So excitement there, woohoo! 7 p.m. is the time, and so it will go live at exactly 7 p.m. In order to give everybody an opportunity to log in at a similar time in order to start logging their Merit Badge classes as we go. So. I do want to also point out a note there at the bottom that registration will actually close for all locations on December 15th. And so that was slightly different this past year, but we are closing it for all registrations December 15th so that each of the sites have time to prepare adequately as we welcome thousands of our Boy Scouts to the Merit Badge Challenge. So what do you need to register? And we'll run through a few of these items, and then later in the presentation, I will actually give a full walkthrough. But the first thing we want to emphasize is that you talk to your unit leader. This is important because the registration process is much easier if you register as a unit. And that allows all of your scouts to register at once. Oftentimes there is somebody within the unit who manages the registrations for Merit Badge Challenge. So it's important that you speak with them first because somebody in your unit may already be collecting the information in order to get everybody registered. If your unit is not attending as a unit, you can register individually, and that option is available through the same registration link. All of those links will become active, as I mentioned, at 7 p.m. on October 15th on our website, danbaird.org/NBC. Just click on the location that you want to register with, and it will take you into the registration process. An additional tool that will be helpful for you if you are one of those unit contacts collecting information or you're collecting information for multiple scouts, we do have an information sheet. It's on page 32 of the information booklet that Cassie just mentioned. It is also an individual sheet available for download at the bottom of the Merit Badge Challenge website. It is the Scout information sheet, and as you can kind of see on here, you're able to collect information from the Scout that you'll need during the registration process, including what classes he'd like to take, backups, alternates, and things like that in case those classes are already full. Lastly, I just want to make note that at the end of our webinar, before we log off, we will do a live walkthrough of the registration process. And please feel free to join us for that at the end of the webinar. And now I'd like to introduce Mike Banish. He is the site chair over in the Bethel area at the Career Center there.
Great, thanks, Ken. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this funny-looking blue document on the page right now. Once you've registered, you need to understand the merit badge process. And so one of the first things you need is this application for merit badges, or otherwise known as a blue card. Scouts are very familiar with these if they've ever taken merit badges before, either at camp or some of these other locations. You can do that. The first thing you need to do is get this blue card from your advancement coordinator at your troop or your scoutmaster, and right there on the front, there's a spot for the scoutmaster to sign the blue card before the scout even starts the merit badge. This is a real important part of the process because it tells the counselors that the scout is eligible to take the badge. He's a registered scout. He's active in the troop. It also allows the scoutmaster to be able to tell the counselor that the scout is prepared and ready and capable of taking that particular merit badge. There's information in the packet that we've provided online that tells their scout that there may be some age requirements or some rank requirements for particular badges. These are recommended requirements for badges to make it a little bit more easier for scouts to take to be prepared to take some of the more difficult badges. We've identified some of those requirements for you and for your scoutmaster and your scout leaders. So that signing that card tells us that the scout is both registered and capable of taking the merit badge. And then you see the grid in the middle of the card that's up on the screen right now. That grid allows the counselor to track the requirements that the scout completes during merit badge challenge. So it's very important the scout turn in the blue card at the beginning of class, the first Saturday of class, to the counselor, so the counselor can keep track of those requirements as they go through challenge. The counselor signs off, signs a date, puts the requirement number there, and then on the back of the card, at the end of challenge, when the scout is completed, if the scout has completed all the requirements, the counselor will sign and record the date and sign it with his signature, suggest that the scout has completed all the requirements and can receive the merit badge. The other possibility that this card allows for is not only the completion of the badge, but if the scout doesn't complete the badge for a variety of reasons, either they didn't get all the pre-work done ahead of time, or they didn't really have time during challenge to get all the requirements completed, or there are some badges that just are not. Kate, there's not enough time during challenge to get them all the requirements finished. So if that happens, you can, again, going back to this, back up to going back to the grid where the counselor has kept track of the steps for challenge, for the requirements for the badge, and that scout doesn't have to do all those requirements again. They can just do the requirements that they need to get done. They can use the same counselor, or they can find another counselor for that merit badge, either in his troop or maybe closer to home, and they can finish the requirements that way. And that second counselor will sign off on the requirements when they're all completed and sign the card and finish it. The last step in the process is for the scout to take the card to back to their advancement coordinator at their troop or their scoutmaster, and they will process the card and make sure that the scout gets presented with the badge at the appropriate court of honor or ceremony or whatever the unit happens to do. So it's capable. It's really important that scouts follow that process, and we have blue cards on the first Saturday. Those blue cards are signed, and then at the end of the process, they're signed. And if there's a chance that the counselor can't get it done, then they need to get it done in that 3 Saturdays, and there may need to be a self-addressed stamped envelope at the end where the scout gives that to the counselor so they can send the blue card back to them at a later time. And then that's the end of that process. So if anybody has any questions on that, feel free to type in our chat and we'll be happy to answer the questions. I'm going to turn it over to Joe right now, and he's going to tell you a little more about pre-work.
Thanks, Mike. I'm Joe Kim. I'm the site coordinator for the Fairfield location of Merit Badge Challenge. So I'd like to encourage everyone to sign up for Fairfield location. We have over 60 Merit Badges offered. No, just kidding. On a serious note, our Danbury Council offers 4 site locations throughout the city, throughout our council, and each of them will give your scout a great opportunity to earn some Merit Badges, to learn more about Merit Badges. I know at the Fairfield location, I know every year I lose some troops to Dixie and troops to Sycamore, and unfortunately, the dates of our locations are usually last minute due to school regulation or school schedules. So some of our units have some great programs I know lined up. And scouts don't want to miss caving or whatever else you have online. So besides going to the closest Merit Badge Challenge, you have the opportunity to go to whatever challenge meets the dates of your unit. Once you signed up for the challenge, and we already covered, Mike covered blue cards. Once the scout is signed up for the Merit Badge and has a blue card, he's eligible to start working on that Merit Badge. And like so many things in scouting, working on Merit Badge all comes down to the Boy Scout motto, to be prepared. And part of being prepared for your Merit Badge is familiarizing yourself with the requirements for that Merit Badge. Some of the Merit Badge, some of the challenges cover 3 Saturdays. Some of them cover 2 Saturdays. So whether we have 2 or 3 Saturdays, spanning a month and a half or 2-month time period, sometimes it's not enough to cover all the requirements for a particular Merit Badge. So for some of the Merit Badges, counselors will list some pre-work for the scouts to do ahead of time. And that pre-work is available online. And you can review which Merit Badges have pre-work. Some of the counselors and counselors, again, are all volunteers. We try to keep the same counselors if possible. Try to have the counselors lined up ahead of time by the time we put this listing online. But in some cases, the counselors will change. And sometimes when the counselors change, their expectations of pre-work may change also. So we're going to have updates on the website the 15th of every month for any pre-work. So be sure you look at the website October 15th, November 15th, and December 15th to see if any pre-work has changed, or a Merit Badge that previously didn't require work that now lists pre-work. And again, part of the looking at the Merit Badge requirements ahead of time, doing any pre-work ahead of time helps the scout to be prepared for that Merit Badge. And besides giving him a better understanding of that Merit Badge, it also gives him a much better chance of completing the Merit Badge. So if you have any questions, be sure to type that in, and we'll try to cover it at the end of this webinar. But at this time, I'll turn it over to Chuck, who's going to cover counselors. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I'm Chuck Salzman. I am currently the Merit Badge Counselor Coordinator for the Sycamore Merit Badge Challenge, and I'm going to talk to you tonight about counselors. The first item I'd like to talk to you about is the types of Merit Badge counseling. There's basically 4. It can be either in-unit, utilizing parents, committee members, the Scoutmaster, Assistant Scoutmasters. These people all must be registered scouters and have current youth protection training. In general, they know the scouts, and counseling can either be on a group or an individual basis. You can also have other units or district council level counseling. These are other scouters or volunteers. Same requirements apply, but they may not know the scouts. A buddy system is recommended, and it's usually individual counseling. There's also summer camp, utilizing the summer camp staff. Same requirements, but generally do not know the scouts. The objective is to complete the merit badge in 1 week. However, there is a limited time for some of the badge requirements to be completed, and counseling is always done as a group. As far as the Merit Badge Challenge is concerned, scouters and volunteers are used. Same requirements. They generally do not know the scouts. There is strict adherence to all the requirements. There's always a group that is counseled. Now, as far as Merit Badge counselors, who are these guys? They're typically volunteers, believe in furthering the program, and they may change on a year-to-year basis depending upon their availability. A Merit Badge counselor is required to be youth protection trained, and training has to be current. Sometimes the counselors are not scouters or affiliated with the unit, but they may be professionals that have a deep understanding and knowledge of the material that the Merit Badge is covering. Counselors typically receive no pay nor recognition aside from a small gift. Typically for the challenges, we strive for 2 knowledgeable counselors to teach the badge, but sometimes we may have a second adult in the room with limited knowledge of the material just to have the 2 deep youth protection or 2 deep leadership. Counselors often teach the Merit Badge material and more based on their own experience, avocation, but they're not required to do so. Now, as far as the requirements for a Merit Badge are concerned, a scout should be of the age and experience level to take the badge. Now, parents and the scout leaders should read and understand the requirements of the merit badges. And typically, scouts that do not have the knowledge or commitment of the badge will not do well. Counselors are there to test the scouts' knowledge and enrich each session for their experience, not necessarily teaching the material. Counselors have to follow the requirements of the badge and can expect no more or no less. Where options exist, they can be approved or selected by the counselor. Any pre-work that is done by the scout is not automatically accepted as being good. The counselor should review it, assess that the scout has indeed completed the pre-work and satisfied the requirement. Typically, although badge completion in a Merit Badge Challenge is a goal, some badges may not be completed due to the amount of pre-work involved, any outside requirements that are required by the badge, or any service time periods. BSA does require the counselor, even though the badge is taught in a group setting, each scout must be tested individually on the requirements in order to get credit on their blue cards. Now, any type of communication between the counselor and the scout, I'm going to cover next. The counselor should be provided with 2 email contacts for each scout at the time of registration. Email will be the primary means of contact between the scout and the counselor. Primary email would be the scout, a parent, a guardian, or other responsible person with direct, frequent scout contact. Secondary email, as it says on the slide. Now, valid emails are necessary in order that the counselor-scout communication works, and so that they can get the badge completed. Communication should be through email only, not individual messaging, Facebook, Twitter, or any other type of social media. Email provides a record of all communication and ensures the privacy for both the counselor and the scout. Now, counselors are requested to copy the primary and secondary emails on all communications, but they may use another adult scouter in the absence of a second email address. It's recommended that when a counselor sends an email out, that 2 adults, himself included, are on the email going out, and when the scout responds, the same 2 people should be copied or have the email sent to. Counselors are requested to contact the scouts prior to the beginning of the first session to talk about course requirements, set any type of expectations, confirm the pre-work. Counselors at the beginning, or typically when the counselors will contact the scouts, they'll have an email and other contact information. On the first day of the challenge, though, the counselors should put their information either on a blackboard, a whiteboard, or smart board if they're available. Any type of post-event communication should initially be done with the counselor that taught the badge. If that fails or the counselor is not able to be contacted, you can contact the merit badge staff for the particular venue that your scout attends. And scouts can complete a badge with the same counselor that they took the badge from at the challenge, or if they haven't completed the badge, they can certainly contact another counselor. But anytime the scout is in contact with a counselor, he must have his blue card with him in order to get for the requirements to count. No permanent records are kept by the Merit Badge Challenge staff. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. And that being said, I'll turn over to Cassie for any final notes.
I noticed we have a couple questions online that I'd like to take a quick minute to answer. Jeanette, we have, I will follow up that with you to see which merit badge you're referring to. We do have 2 new site coordinators for Dixie this year. We have Michelle Haythorne and Becky Ortwine, and they have changed the class list along with Angie and Mark. So I can follow that up with you. Let me know what class it was. And for Carrie, everybody's welcome. We have counselors who come from out of council. We are welcoming any scouts that want to attend. This is open to everyone. Tom, I'm not sure. That's probably a better question about your scout that's already registered that hopefully Ken can answer. So he will take care of that as he gets back online. I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight. I hope you found this information. Sorry, we're going in and out. We're doing our best. This will be available online if you do miss anything. Thanks, Jeanette, for that feedback. I hope you found this information helpful. If you have any additional questions after tonight, we do have a Facebook page at facebook.com/Merit Badge Challenge. That is checked, and we try to answer questions as quickly as we can to help keep everyone informed. Again, Ken will be doing a walkthrough online registration to help with anybody who may need that. And for everyone else, we cannot wait to see you at Merit Badge Challenge 2016. Thank you for coming tonight, and here is Ken.
Okay, for those who are interested, I am going to switch over to the desktop view and do a quick live walkthrough of the registration. Tom, to answer your question, somebody may have actually noticed that I turned on registration in order to do the live walkthrough tonight. However, the price is set at $0 currently, and we will be removing any of those extra ones in order to have an actual live registration on October 15th. We will type in some messages in case the audio is cutting out for you at all. And so we'll type in some message answers here shortly. So at this point, I'm going to switch over to the desktop view and walk everybody through registration. Take just a second to switch over. Okay, what you're seeing here is our event registration page. You'll notice that the registration, while it is on and live in the background, what I'm showing here is the registration test mode. And the first thing you'll notice is that you have two different ways that you can register right from the get-go, and that is as an individual or as a contingent. The contingent in scouting terms is essentially to register as a unit. And what this will do is group all of your scouts together as a unit and allow you to manage them after the registration process, which is really important and a lot of people will find useful. The main benefit, and I want to emphasize this, to registering as a unit is that you can continue to edit and manage the classes, the activities, and those attending from your unit page after the registration is complete. That is not as easy when you register as an individual. So we really would like to encourage people to register as a unit, and we'll begin to take you through that process. I'll start here just by clicking contingent and then next. This second page, it would be the same if it was individual. It is just confirming that this is the type of registration you would like to begin. Explains a little bit more detail what that registration type is. Once you're into the unit registration piece, it's just going to confirm that you want a unit registration. It shows that in order to register a unit, the cost is zero. There's no added fee to register as a unit. Now there will be a participant cost per participant, but there's no added fee to register as a unit like you might see with other large campouts or a national jamboree or something like that, where there's maybe a fee to register the unit initially. At this section, you will actually just input your unit number. It is going to cross-reference your unit number with all of the units that we have loaded into the database behind the scenes. So you'll select the type in the unit number, and then at this point, you just need to put any letter or character because it's going to do a search. I happen to know Troop 438 is registered in Evendale. So what it's doing here is confirming that it's a unit that's on record. If for some reason your unit does not show up here, you can contact us directly at the Scout Achievement Center. You can contact me, Ken, or our registrar here, and we can get you your unit added. I believe that they are 100% up to date. If you're out of council on the previous screen, you can select a different council as well. So we have all the other councils loaded in there in addition. I added this registration earlier and I did not anticipate this. So we do only allow a unit to register one time. So I'm gonna have to apologize now and make a quick correction. You can add boys later on, yes. I apologize in advance for that. Let's speed through this really quickly for you. Okay, at this point, it's going to ask for the contact information for this specific unit. And so if you are going to be the contact person ongoing for your unit, this would be a good place to enter in your information. One thing you'll notice about the system is it will pre-populate the fields as long as you have already logged into your My Council account. If you have questions about how to create a My Council account, check out the new website tutorials. There is an online video to show you how to do that. Okay, so at this point, you have officially registered your unit, and now it is asking if you'd like to add participants to your registration. You have a couple of options here. If the registration were live, you could actually just save the registration and check out, and then go to your unit page and manage the registrations directly from your unit page, which each unit has. Or you continue forward and actually begin adding participants to the registration right now while you're in here. It's going to ask if you'd like to add a youth participant. Note that this cost would be $15 as it has been in previous years once the registration goes live. So this is a nice additional feature as long as you are registered with a My Council account and you're logged in. If you have the appropriate rights for your unit, if you're the unit leader or if you've been given registration manager access, what you will see here is a list of all the individuals who are on your unit roster. And so you will need to preload that. But the nice feature about this is that rather than having to input that particular scout's information, details, their phone number, their email address, and everything else, it will pre-populate all of that information from the unit roster rather than you having to enter it in multiple times. And so as I'm connected to Troop 438, I now have a list of all those individuals on my unit roster, and I'm able to select that individual and move forward in order to register them. So at this time, I'm registering a scout, one of our employees, but a scout named Kyle Akis, who is attached to that unit in the system. And as you'll notice as I go through, all of those fields are pre-populated. I do not have to enter them again. His email address, his phone number, all of those things, which will save you time and energy from having to input those details. At this point now, we've come to the activity session where you can begin to identify the particular classes you want to sign this scout up for. The most important piece of all of this, I'm going to emphasize this and say it a few times throughout, is this gray box that you see over to the right. This is really where you manage the registrations as you go forward. This is where you can cancel items, delete activities, change an activity for each one of your scouts. So please note the back button for the browser does not exactly work the same way that you might think a back button would work typically in a browser because you're in the middle of a registration. And so what you want to do is make sure to pay attention to this gray box because that is where you can make updates, changes, and things like that. At this time, you'll see a full list of all the available merit badges for this particular location. You'll also notice the number of sessions that are available for each of those merit badges. If Kyle had given to me his initial sheet that I spoke about earlier and indicated he wanted to take chess first, I could click that. You can also check the details before you actually register somebody, see the different session times, and a few things. So I click chess, then I hit next. At this time, I'm given the option of what time slot to actually register for him in here. It appears we have C slightly out of order, so we will go in and change that. We find these things regularly and we're still making updates, but we will update those. But you can see session A, 8:30 to 9:30, session B, 10 to 11:15, session C, 11:30 to 12:45, and you'll select the session that you want to sign him up for chess. We'll say next. So at this time, not every scout will want to take all 3 sessions, and so you will have the opportunity to go to the next registration step and move forward and complete for this scout's registration. He may only want to take chess, or you can select your next activity for this participant. The nice feature about this system is that you will now see where conflicts exist. And so American Heritage, for example, is only offered in session A, and it will no longer allow you to click and take American Heritage because there's a direct conflict. We'll scroll down here, and for the next one, we'll select chemistry. Once again here, once we've gone in, there is an open slot, which is why there was it was not blocking it, but there is still a conflict shown in session A. I want to point out again this box over here to the right. You see that if you come in here, there's a small little icon here that says delete. And so this is where you can actually remove chess from Kyle's current schedule if you decided at this time, well, I really want to put him into chemistry during session A, and I want to remove chess because I'd rather have him have chemistry. And so I could remove chess at this time by clicking delete right here and removing that activity. So once again, we can select another activity. One additional nice feature you can see here is you can actually pull up the schedule of that scout at any time in order to see what is currently logged. From your unit page later, you'll actually be able to print this schedule and hand it to each one of your scouts. So now we're going to register Kyle for coin collecting. I've selected it here. There was only one session available, that was session B, so it automatically put Kyle into that session. Once I've completed selecting all the different activities for that scout, I can continue with the next registration step. And at this point in time, I have two more options. I can either save the registration to the shopping cart where I will begin the checkout process and the payment process, or I can enter an additional participant. We're going to go ahead and do one more real quick just to show you what that looks like. If I hit enter more participants, again, it will be a youth participant. And you'll see from my list now that Kyle is actually removed because he has already been registered. And now I can select the next scout that's on the unit roster. Once again, the information's already in there. And I would go about selecting the appropriate classes for that scout. From here, this button right now is actually grayed out because we're in the test mode area. But you would select save registration to shopping cart, hit next. It would take you to the shopping cart where you would click checkout, and then it would take you through the payment process of either entering a credit card or something like that. That actually kind of takes you through the entire process. If you were to have registered as an individual, you would actually go through the exact same process that we just went through. You just would have skipped the first couple of steps where you registered as a unit first before adding participants. In addition, you wouldn't have the pre-populated scouts in there if you were registering each scout as an individual. You'd have to fill that information out as you created a new youth participant for each registration. I do want to take one more moment to show you what the unit pages actually does look like so that you can get a sense of that. I will, however, need to create a registration in order to do that. So just bear with me for one moment, please. I mentioned earlier you could just stop with the unit registration right after you've entered in the unit details, and I'll show you what that looks like just now. If I were to come in and just register my unit, Troop 438, at this point in time, I could actually choose not to add participants yet to the registration and just save that unit registration to my shopping cart and go ahead and check out. I just hit the necessary buttons to complete the transaction. There's no cost associated like that because you're just registering a unit and you click and you've completed registration. At that point in time, I would actually go to the unit web page, your personal unit web page, and you can edit and modify and add participants and everything else from your unit web page. So you saw that I clicked the unit web page and I clicked on the last screen. I'll go back for you. Search to find a unit. I'll enter 438, begin the search. I'll pull up my unit, Troop 438. Now, once you visit this page, there's only a few people who actually do have access to all these menu items on the right, and that would be the unit leader. You will need to be registered or logged in with your My Council account to have access. But you'll have the unit leader will have that, and then we can grant additional registration managers for your unit. And so you just need to contact somebody to let them know that if you have somebody who is the registration manager for your unit, we add their My Council account to your unit page. I believe you can even do that as the unit leader in the tools and utilities area. But they will have access to these buttons as well. Click on registrations, and here under 2016, make sure you're in the correct year. I was here earlier, so it kept me on 2016. You can see the Merit Badge Challenge Fairfield registration that I just completed just a few minutes ago. And that was just the unit registration. It shows that my unit has registered for Merit Badge Challenge Fairfield in this case. We don't have any participants yet. We didn't pay for any participants. We didn't add any classes, but we did complete the checkout process for the unit. At this point, I can click on that, and I get a pretty detailed summary of my unit information for Merit Badge Challenge or any event I'm setting up. You see the contingent details. Under participants, I can actually come here and register a new participant and begin that process. I can view my payment history, and I even have tools in here later where I can export the participant roster. I can print a calendar and activity roster and a few things like that for my participants. I'll click register a new participant. And once again, you'll see this dialog box that opens, and it looks very similar to what you saw on the previous side. You'll add a youth participant. Again, this cost would be $15. Hit next. Now that I'm in on my unit page, again, I will get the drop down of all those individuals who are on my unit roster. And so what I was doing, what I showed you guys previously was in test mode, so that's why you see Kyle Ake is here again, because it wasn't an official registration that I logged. But at this point, I could select Kyle. I would say next. Again, his information's already preloaded. And then I could begin adding classes once again for Kyle, like I showed you earlier. As you can see, very similar to what on the other side, but you're just managing it now from your unit web page. And you can make updates to an individual and things like that, which I will try to show you here momentarily. So we'll add chess for session A. As you can see here, I have the option to delete chess if I like to, or cancel this item altogether. Let's select one more activity, architecture, session B. We'll continue with the next registration step. Here I have the option to enter more participants or save and go to the shopping cart to pay. I'll enter one more very quickly for us. I'll point out some classes do have an additional fee that may have been referenced earlier in the webinar, and that fee will be built in at the checkout time if there is an additional fee, but we try to let you know that that is the case. Okay, we're going to continue with the next registration step. At this point, we're going to go to the shopping cart. You get a message here that says you do have items in your shopping cart, and if they leave them in your shopping cart, they won't be erased or deleted. You can come back later if you don't have your payment information. They will still be there as long as you're logged into your My Council account. So that you can see what that process looks like. Went to the shopping cart. You can remove a registration here. You can return back to the registration page we were just at, or go ahead and click checkout if you're ready to check out. Checkbox here to agree to the payment policy. And at that point, I have completed the checkout. Now, it would take you through one more step, and that is to input your payment information. But since the cost is currently 0, it's not asking us to do that. The reason I did leave it at 0 is because I'd like to show you, if I return back to the registration unit page, that I now have 2 participants added. I can continue to add new participants if I like. I can see my payment history, which is obviously 0. But the most important feature here is, let's say Kyle decided he wanted to change a class, which we've all run into. I can select Kyle. I can see what he's been signed up for, what I've registered him for, and I can see the activities right here. And then under options, I have the ability to edit his information. And so I can edit any of his personal information that may have been inaccurate. Let's say the email address that originally was loaded to the roster is wrong. You can change that there. But right here, this tab right here is the activities tab. And you're able to delete an activity or add a new activity to his registration. We have 2 conflicts there, sorry. I didn't pick a good one. And you'll see that now his class schedule has been updated, and you can save those changes. So as you can see, if you register as a unit, you have a lot more flexibility on your unit page to go in, modify and edit participants, and you have the added luxury of not having to fill in all that personal information for each one of your scouts. The last thing I will point out, and we are planning to upload a video to help walk you through this unit roster link right here is actually where you would need to upload your unit roster of scouts into the system in order for all that information to be pre-populated. And you can add a member individually, or you can import a unit roster using an Excel sheet as well. So I think that's all that I have. I know that we have several questions, so I wanted to make sure to get through everything first. Hopefully you enjoyed that tutorial. I will do my best to answer several of these questions for you guys in a timely fashion. All of them. Marcy, the registration process is very similar to last year, except for that we've made some updates within the system to make it a little bit easier. And in addition, the unit registration piece was, I don't believe, quite as developed last year in order to make the process a lot easier for you to register as a unit. Jeanette, the unit information is attached by uploading that roster, which I just pointed out there at the end. And so there is a template up there that you can download, the Excel template, which already has the header fields so that you know where to put the scout's name, where to put his email address, where to put his phone number, so that you have a successful upload. But it's on that unit roster tab. You just upload an Excel document and it will populate your entire unit roster with that information. We hope that that's helpful for people who already have a unit roster, maybe populated in Excel or something like that. Tim, I think I just answered your question there as well. Carrie, to answer your question, the question is, there are 3 days for each site. Are the scouts able to register to work on 3 badges total for all 3 days, or 3 badges per day? The answer is the first statement, and that is they will complete or work on completing 3 badges total for the 3 days. It will take all 3 Saturdays for them to complete each of those 3 badges or work toward completing those. I'll clarify that at Dixie, there are 2 weekends instead of the 3. Anne from Westchester, the Scoutmaster will be able to see everyone registered if they've gone through the unit process, the unit registration process. We can add the credentials for the committee chair as well. You can email me directly at ken.bruner@scouting.org, or speak to your district executive or call here to the office. We could add the committee chair if they're not added already to give them the credentials to manage registrations if you like. I believe that you'll find the unit roster info pretty clear cut. You download the template, input the correct information into the fields, and then you just go to that options tab in the top right and click import, and you'll select that Excel document, which is stored on your local PC once you've filled it out. Like I said, we are just finishing up an online video tutorial that will walk you through that process. That will be located in the new website tutorials. There's a button on the left side on the main page for you to view if you are having any difficulty. I think that we've covered all of the questions. So at this time, I'm going to log off, but please don't forget that we will continue to answer questions on our Facebook page ongoing. And so we will leave this up for a little while so that you can continue to post questions here, or feel free to visit the Facebook page Facebook.com/Merit Badge Challenge is the URL, and feel free to post a question there. We'll continually monitor that to help people through the process. With that, we hope that you enjoyed the tutorial. We are recording this, so we will post it to the website, and so you can look back and watch that entire process over again if you do have any questions or would like to see something again. We hope everybody has a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you at Merit Badge Challenge 2016. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I set up a survey. Oh, I think they can.